All right. So where we left off, right, was we're able to grab the form. All right, and then we tested it, and then we add an event listener for a submit, listening to when the form submits. And then, does anyone want to like briefly just make a super cool, awesome attempt at what prevent default is doing? Okay, just scratching, no problem. Fooled me, also scratching. Yes.
Preventing the default state of that container from
Yes. Yes. Not exactly, but yes. What I mean by that is it's not that it's preventing the re-render as much as the form, remember, will try to post, but it will try to post to nowhere. So it happens to be refreshing. What I don't want people to associate is prevent default prevents refreshing. Because while that's actually happening here, that's not what prevent default does. In the same way that, remember when I gave that anchor tag, the A tag example, where I can have like an anchor tag? The default action for this is opening that new link. So if I prevent default on the click of this link, it's simply just not going to open the new link, right? And that's not necessarily a refresh. That's just preventing the default action of the event. Let's reveal our votes here. Nice. All right, let's get rid of that. Awesome. So once we did that, we console log submitting the form, and what we'll see is that it doesn't actually do that refresh, like you were saying, that re-render, and I can actually stay on the page. And this is important because I stopped the form from submitting. So it no longer sends that post request. But now, because it doesn't send the post request, all right, I need to, with the power of JavaScript, actually do something. So here, I need the form, I got it. I need the user input, and I got it somewhere. Oh no, we did it in the console, right? All right, let's think. What did we do? We did const input is equal to what? What am I asking for? I'm talking to my buddy, the document, right? I'm like, yo, document, what up, dog? And I'm asking for what? On the document. What do I need? Right, we can use get element by ID, but I want to start transitioning you over to this new version. But that is absolutely 100% correct. And if you use that, that is still good. It's just, I kind of want to show you like a little bit of like the modern JavaScript. But if you use either one, you're totally fine. So little query selector action. And remember with query selector, do you see ID anywhere in here? Do you see class anywhere in here? No, so in the query selector, it makes sense that you have to then specify what you're trying to do, right? So if I wanted to grab a class, I can do what? Bloop. And then like the class name in here, right? But here, because I'm trying to grab an ID, I need the, that's right, the pound sign. I'm like old. Hashtag is very, very new, very trending. The pound sign, cool. And so what is the ID of what we are trying to grab here? What is the input? Is it going to be the submit, or is it going to be this new comment? I'm sure somebody said it, but like my stomach is going out of control. The new comment, right? Bloop. Let's pull that out. Bloop. Oh no, come on. Copy paste little sketch right now. So we can always test, right? Bloop bloop. Little console log action, the input, and what should I see here if it is in fact there? Nothing? Remember, what am I grabbing off the DOM? The input itself. So, bloop. Oh, there it is. Powerful. And as we know, it has a type and a placeholder. So if we were to actually try doing that, remember, they're just attributes. So here, The input has what attributes right now, or properties? It has how many? 3. So I can simply go, hey input, what's your ID? Or I could say, what's your type, and what would I get? And then naturally, like placeholder as well, right? Cool. And right now, is there a current value in there? No. So if I were to get value, what should I receive? Empty string. All right, this is very important because remember the process. So I can ask for input.value. I can ask for it right here. But remember, when the user submits is actually right here. Does it make sense to grab the value of the input before or after the user submits? It should be after, because if I grab it before, it's always going to be empty string. If I grab it after the user submits, it should be whatever the user typed in, right? Think about the entire experience start to finish, right? How does this form work? This page loads, and it's like, write your comments in here. You're like, cool, DOM content loads. And then I click this, and I go, what is my comment? Powerful. And then I add this emoji, like a clown, right? And then I submit the form. At this point, on form submission, is there something inside the input field? Will there be value there? Great, so it makes sense that I should be grabbing this input after the submit. So let me do that. I can actually grab the input itself, but not the value yet. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna hold on to this just a little bit. Now, that's just a test. So now that I actually have the value, right? Input.value. Let's take a look at scope, right? Input was defined here based on the magic of JavaScript scope. Will I have access to input here? Yes or no? Yes, right? Because is input defined in here? Technically yes, but did I assign or declare it inside this callback? No, but what will it do because I didn't assign or declare it? It will look out, and there it is, bam. Cool. So now I have the value inside here. What I really want to do is I want to add it onto the page. So should I make a new image tag? Should I create a new image tag for this? You're saying no, right? No, that's crazy, right? Why would I make a new image tag? What tag should I make? I could make an li, right? Maybe like an h1 tag or a p tag or something that should normally hold some text. Li would work, but I would also need like the unordered list to wrap around it. So let's do that. Ready? So let me create some HTML so I can add it to the page. Because right now I just have text, and text is no good. So what I need is, I'm gonna be like, yo, document dog, let me create that element. And what element do you want to make? Paragraph. We can do a paragraph. You guys cool with paragraph tag? Little p tag action? Cool, powerful. Whoop, that's not it. So I should store into a variable, and that is like paragraph, right? Cool. And so what is the paragraph tag? I'm sorry. What I should say is the paragraph tag. Does it have any text, any value, like anything associated with it whatsoever? What should I see if I console log the paragraph? Remember, somebody said it. Remember when I console logged the image tag when I first created it? What did I actually get back? Just the image tag. Yeah, that's all it is. So how can I actually, because you notice that nothing came out here, how can I make this trigger? How can I actually start to see this console log? What needs to happen first? The form needs to be submitted, right? So I can be like, All right, I'm just gonna hit enter. Bloop. And there it is, the p tag. That's it. So what should I do with the p tag? Should I add an ID to it, or like how can I get what I typed in here inside the p tag? How would you sort of describe that? I can, right? Think about it, right? I could do paragraph. And there's some attributes to this, right? I can do ID if I wanted to, right? I can give the paragraph a class if I wanted to. Class name, I think. But what am I trying to really give it? Am I trying to give this paragraph tag more HTML? Or am I trying to give this paragraph tag some sort of like text value? Like a text value, right? What I want to do is like basically put text between these brackets. And so you could very easily Google it. How do I add text to a p tag? And the first thing that will come up will be something called inner text. So there's a method called inner text. And then I can just assign it. What should I assign it? Like something? Or what should be in here? Right, the input.value, right? So I can get rid of this, bloop. And that's really about it. So now, let's console log the paragraph after I've added that input.value. So let me refresh, let me put wowzers otter. Your class likes otters. Powerful. Now that's something that looked like HTML, right? And I can probably slap it on the DOM. Okay, your class doesn't like that. The other class liked it a lot. We'll find something that you like. We'll find something that you like. Cool. So now I want to be able to add this to the DOM somehow. Now we did this already, right? What was that method that we used to add something to the DOM? Right, we use append child. So what now we think, right, great. So got the HTML. Now I need to add it somewhere. But where though? Do I want to add it like right under comments, right underneath the input bar, all the way in the bottom here? Like where would you want to add it? Let's take a look at the index.html and think, where would it make sense to put the comments? There's no real wrong answer here. I'm going to put it wherever you tell me. Oh, comments container? Powerful. What good naming conventions. Cool, let's do that. Do I have access to comments container right now? I do. Where is the comment container in my JavaScript? Oh, I don't have it. So how do I grab it? Const comment container is equal to what? Just query selector? Cool. Let me ask my boy, all right? Old document. Query selector. And what am I trying to query select for? The comments container, right? This ID right here. So let's hope copy paste is my friend today. It's very finicky. Oh, here we go. Bloop. Oh, powerful. Cool. And so let's just test. Little console log action, the comments container. And let's print, right? Oh, yeah. And there it is, the comments. Huh, looks like something went wrong. Either way, the point is, I've got this div, this comment container. What can I do with this comments container? Now that I have where I want to put it, I have HTML, and the HTML has text. What should I do now? Right? We gotta add it to the DOM somehow, right? You're coming along. You guys coming along. Cool. So the comment container, I need to do what to it? All right, remember the DOM is a tree. I'm just going to add another node to it, and that is append child. And what am I going to append? Just a paragraph. So let's find out. Let's see the magic happen. Eat. Powerful. I can do it a couple times like this. Boop, 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 boop. Eats for cheats, right? No, I don't know. I heard that some kid said that somewhere. It's very hip. I thought it was cool. Let's take a look at this form, right? What normally happens, and this is just like one extra step further. What normally happens when someone submits the form? How would you describe what happens? Are the comments still in here? No, what is it? What happens to it? It goes back to what? The what? It goes back to the placeholder, right? So let's just say you're playing like a video game or something and like it breaks. What do you do? Or like you're looking at a browser and the page just breaks for no reason. What do? You refresh, right? So the form has some sort of like refreshing that happens. You can easily look that up and just be like, hey, how do I refresh a form after it submits? Something like that. You just have to be able to describe it, and that's what's really important. The first thing you'll see is there is a method called reset on forms. So do I have access to the form anywhere? Yes. So I can just go form, and I can call a method called reset. Am I invoking the method right now? No. Bloop. There it is. And so naturally what I should see is reset that form. Good answer. Good answer. Wheel of Fortune. And that's it. And that's like the 5-star user experience. Are there any questions on kind of like just the process, thinking through like what pieces of information do I need, right? How do I grab those pieces of information? If there's no ID or class name or anything unique to it, is there a way that I can actually get a hold of it? Well, of course. You and I are all full stack developers. I can simply slap an ID on there and then grab it, query select it, and then do what I need or want to do with it. And that's really just kind of like the whole process. Are there any questions so far on just query selecting and appending child? Who feels comfortable with like being able to like append child, or like the whole thought process between creating an element, adding some text to it, and then just slapping it on the DOM? No big deal. No? Yes, no? No? Kind of? Do you have in your mind a question, or you just want to practice it? Probably just a little practice. Practice action. Okay. And that's fair. All right, so the last thing I kind of want to talk about is this power of what is known as event delegation. So this one's a little tricky. So I'm gonna bring in my notes here so that you can have all of it. Bloop. What the? Alrighty, so let's talk about event delegation. Well, is that how some of you feel right now? Oh my Lord. I know. These are good. These readmes are great. Let's check it out. Oh man, how to learn how to use the internet, level 2. You're there. All right. Bloop, bloop, bloop. All right, so what is event delegation? All right, I've got this handy dandy image here. And so this is what it really is about. I've told you about the fact that the events are constantly firing, but unless we add an event listener, we're not really writing our own code when something happens. It just fires in the background silently. Chrome tracks it, and then it goes away because we didn't ask for any sort of notification, and we didn't attach any code to the event. That means because Chrome's always listening, and the way that the browser works is this is how it goes, right? You have HTML, you have body, you have table, and then you guys familiar with table bodies and stuff? TDs, TBs, TRs? Okay, if you're not a big deal. The idea here is that these are just children, right? You can think of them as like LIs or whatever, right? Like you have a UL here, and then you have like a LI here, whatever. So what's happening is if I click on this child element, this is what really happens. When I click this, the window, the document, goes to the HTML, to the body, to the table body, all the way down to the table row, and it'll be like, hey, you were clicked. And then it sends that message all the way back up to the window. This is a little bit hard to comprehend. So we'll use the example of what we actually have. And that is, here's our HTML. Here's the div. And here's the form. So here's my form. And it is a child element of what? This div with ID of comments. All right, are you comfortable with this? Who agrees that this form is a child element of the div with comments? Right. So what I'm saying is, this form, I can submit this form. In order for that submit to happen, the event needs to go from HTML to the body, to the div, to the form, and then the form submits. And then once it submits, it goes all the way back to the div. Hey, by the way, that form submitted. And it tells the body, yo, that form, it's submitted. And then it goes to HTML and says, yo, that form, it's submitted. It's a perfect game of telephone, unlike elementary school. Okay, all right. It's fine. I played different icebreakers apparently when I was younger. So, what event delegation is simply saying is that all of the parent elements will always know about all of the events that happen to their children. So when this form submits, this comments, this parent div knows about it. That's all I'm saying. If you were to break it down into a nutshell, that's all I'm saying. I have a somewhat decent, what is event delegation? And there's like a decent Stack Overflow. Oh my God, is it this one? The decent one somewhere. Oh yes, powerful. This is the one. Go, so check it out. Once I find it. All right, okay. Man, where is it? Is it not this one? No. No. Event bubbling. Yes. Yes. Cool. We're almost there. All right, let's run this code snippet. Cool. So here's what's happening. Ready? Let's take a look at this div. How many children does this div have? One. Has one child element. This child has how many children? One. And then this one has how many? And then this one has how many? Sad. No children for 5. Right? So this is what happens, right? We've added some CSS and some JavaScript magic that on hover, it will highlight and tell you who knows about the event. So for example, if I scroll over 1 will highlight. Because of event delegation, if I highlight and move over 2, will 1 know about it? Yeah. Boom. What about 3? Will 1 and 2 know about it? See how I'm on 3, but does 4 and 5 know? No, so it kind of stops at that low level and then goes all the way back up. So if we were to describe it, there's what is known as a capture phase, and that is it goes down to when the event is. So if I were to highlight over 2, the capture phase is going from 1 to 2. The target phase is, all right, cool, I'm on 2. And then what is known as the bubbling phase. The event goes back up. So it stops at 2 and then goes back up to 1. All right? This is a lot of information. It's really not complicated. But there's a very important reason why we could teach this. So in the same way that we have these 3 divs, right? It's going from 1 in the capture phase to 2 to 3. It's on the target. And then it bubbles back up from 3 to 2 to 1. Are there any questions on just the capture phase, the target, and the bubbling? Who feels like, all right, cool, I kind of understand what's happening? It's just going down, coming up. All right, so this is important. Again, the bottom line, if you remember nothing else, is that the parents will always know about the events that happen to children. Does that sentence make sense to you? Parents always know what happens to the children, right? Like if I'm clicking on 3, does 1 and 2 know about it? Cool. All right, so let's take advantage of that newfound knowledge. All right. Let's take a look at this. Back to our powerful thing. So I have 3 different buttons here. If I wanted to, right, do you remember this powerful code? If I wanted to, I can, again, copy paste. I can select this last button. I can add another event listener to it, and then I can run another callback function. Yes? So instead of doing that, what I can do is I can see in all of these, right? I'm just going to go into the children here. This is very nested for a reason. And I see that this button, and this button are all children of what? Of this particular div, right? What I can do is I can listen on this div right here for a click. Because if any of these children elements are clicked, this div will know about it. Who feels comfortable with that sentence? If I click on any of these buttons, this parent div will know about everything that happens to its children. Yeah? So what I can do is I can take all of this and I can refactor it. Is there a way for me to specify this div right now? Do I have access to this unique div right here? No. Am I completely, utterly lost and there's nothing I can do about it? No. What can I do? Yeah, I can add an ID, right? So let me do that. Go back to the HTML, and I can see, again, this div has all 3 in it. So I can add an ID and simply say button parent, right? This is the parent of all 3 buttons. So let's do this right here. I'm going to const, right, button parent is equal to a document dot query selector with what? Yeah, button parent. Important to note, when you're talking about like CSS or like IDs or classes, they're dashes like this, but then when you're writing JavaScript, everything's camel case. So just good rule of thumb. I should probably test this, right? A little console log button parent action. Cool. Let's take a look. Bloop. Okay, I'm in JavaScript help. 56. Oh, did I add something I shouldn't have added? Oh, sorry. There we go. So we have button parent. I forgot to comment something. All right, so we have button parent here, right? And inside button parent, I should see what? The 3 buttons. So this button parent has inside its inner HTML is actually 3 buttons, right? This button parent's inner HTML is these 3 buttons. So far, so good. So I'm in this button parent, and I want to add an event listener, and I want to listen for a click. So what's the second argument for this event listener? The callback function. I have to tell it what to do once it hears or sees this event, the click event. So, boop, 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 boop. Cool. What did I say about this function right here, this callback function, as it relates to the click event? Does this callback function know about it? Yeah, does this callback function know about the click? Does it know the event that just happened? I mean, it should, right? It has to fire after the event happened. So it makes sense that this callback, that this function should know about the event. So it actually receives the event. We absolutely talked about it because it's the only way we can prevent default on the form. Is this starting to look a little familiar? So I have the event. Without anything else, let's just console log the event and see what it is, because it can be kind of tricky. Cool. Remember, how can I see this console log? How can I test this? What do I need to do? I need to click somewhere on the div or inside the div, right? So let's do that. I have this div here. If I click, notice how the div takes up all of this space here, right? Past the buttons. That's the whole div. If I click inside the space there, not on a button, but inside the space, will that fire the event? Yes, absolutely. If I click anywhere in the div, it'll fire the event. So let's click. If I click this, there it is. Mouse event is a click. If I click this button, what will I see? Will it fire an event? And will it console log it? Absolutely. What about this one? What if I clicked here? Outside the div, should I see a console log? I'm like clicking, you know, it's kind of hard to like hear with my stomach going crazy. Cool? So remember, inside the div, outside the div. So, if we know that, then the event has a bunch of properties. One of the main properties is, what did you actually click on? So the mouse event is the click event, and that makes sense. That's what the event is. Something happened with the mouse, you clicked it. But if I wanted to know what you clicked on, I can ask for the event's target. What did you actually hit? So I can check out the target. If I refresh, if I click inside the div, what should the target be? If I clicked inside the div, what should the target be? It should be the div. What if I click this button? What should the target be? Button. Well, that makes sense, right? What did I hit? I hit the button. What about this one? The button. Again, one more time. If I click outside, what happens? Nothing, right? So, knowing what I know about this, right? I have access to this target. What I can do is, because I'm listening to the whole div and everything that happens, I see a button with an ID of loggy. If I click the loggy button. So what I'm really trying to say is, what if the event.target, the ID is loggy? What should I do? Maybe I can console log. What if the event.target ID is alert? What should I do? I should alert. So let me write that in plain English. What? Oh, sorry, embarrassing. If the event.target ID is alert, I should do something. Psst, I should alert. Right? So let's write that in code. Who can help me write this in code? Come on now. Please. Wow, good start. Nailing it. There we go. Done. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Great, let's refresh. What happens when I click this right here? Yeah. What about this? Creeping in. Here we go. Wow. So now just kind of taking it to the next level, I can just do, but what if the event.target.id is loggy? What should I do? Right, I should console log. Got him, coach. So, boom, boom, boom. Got him, coach. And then the alert here. So by adding only one event listener to the parent, I can make sure that based on what I clicked on inside the parent, I can do different things. There's a lot of reasons why we do this, but to sum it up, you don't want to add a million event listeners because one, it can kind of mess with memory, and two, if you have too many event listeners, they will override each other. If I have an event listener, a click on the body, I have an event listener on the document, then I have it on a button. Remember what I said about events. They're always firing, even if you're not tracking them. So if you happen to track a lot of things, sometimes they can overlap. So the rule of thumb should be you want to go as low as you can on your event listeners that still encompasses everything you want to listen for. So for example, let's go back to the HTML. This is the lowest I can go that still keeps track of all of the buttons. If, however, one of these buttons was here, what should I do? Should I still put the event listener here for all of the buttons? No, I should probably go here. Here? Yeah, I think I should go here. I think. Yeah, that makes sense. Nah, this is probably okay, actually. This one's okay. I want to go as low as I can, but still listening for everything that I want to listen for. And that's kind of the general rule. Are there any questions on like where you would put event listeners and why event delegation is like important? There's nothing I can do about that. I'm sorry. Yes, you can put it on helicopter parent. It will still work. Because remember, these are all of its children, and helicopter parent is going to track everything. But is it the lowest you can go that still tracks everything? Like, you could probably go one or two divs lower, right? And that's what I would want to do. But if you put it on helicopter parent, I'd be like, cool, it works. But because if there's actually some cool things happening here, but you only want something to happen with the buttons, it will fire anyway. The event will fire. If you put it on helicopter parent, it will listen to everything here. When you really just want everything here, everything here. So you're basically adding these extra 4 tags, which doesn't seem like a lot right now, but if you are not a little bit more specific or careful, there can be weird side effects if you like leave extra tags just roped into an event listener that you don't really need. Sometimes you'll have that, right? Like if I put it on this, then this P tag obviously is going to get just collateral damage. But again, the lowest you can go. Cool. That's a very good question. Yeah. Are there any other questions on like understanding event delegation? Why I have these if statements in here?
Show us if statement and the switch statement.
You want me to refactor this to like a switch?
Yeah, he wants to have
You guys, I will do it for anyone that wants to stay afterwards. All right, I don't want it to be like officially part of the lecture, but sure, I'll be happy to do that. Yeah. You just have like a million if statements, so case when statements, switch statements would be perfectly fine. Are there any other questions? Okay, that's all I have.